if you're new here, my politics, well, let's say they are to the left. I'm a socialist. You know, for a little while, there's a segment that I've been wanting to do like a retake of. So let's get into it. If you're new here, my politics are, well, let's say they are to the left. I'm a socialist. And a lot of times people hear socialism, they're like, wow, that's scary. You do not have to agree with any of the shit that I'm about to say, but I kind of want to introduce my politics with a very simple underlying premise, right? Because socialism, as much as it's like very different system, and it can be like, can sound kind of like a daunting concept, even to people who would be like amenable to those ideas, it's pretty simple. Oop. Once I get this item, I'll start. There we go. So you have, you start with something like capitalism, right? Liberal democracy, capitalism. We all know what it is. You elect the government officials, etc., etc. You go to work, you have a boss, whatever. You guys know how that part works. Socialism is, at its core, just an expansion of democracy. It's DLC to democracy, basically. Currently, you have democracy in civic life. You elect people in government, and you run the government democratically, to varying degrees, but, and in some countries, you also have a social democracy. There's like a welfare state to make it so that everybody can, outside of their job, engage with society on relatively egalitarian terms, The state provides benefits beyond just having, like, the police and the military. There's an education system. There's free healthcare. There's, publicly maintained roads. There's all sorts of stuff that's funded by taxes and by the government because they recognize, like, we need this shit. So we're going to provide it. But then there's the secret third option, which is to have an economic democracy too. That would be 3 for 3, trifecta. Which is, instead of going to work and you have to do what your boss says, and corporates making some dumb fuck decisions that are all about, like, well, how do we get the interest of our shareholders and blah blah blah. No, instead of that, you go to work knowing that you partially own the place that you work at, because it's like a mini democracy. It's like you elect representatives in government, except this time you elect representatives at work. You vote on stuff. You vote on pay scales. You vote on decisions at your workplace. Electing managers, union officials, executives every so often. When you have all three of those, you have civic democracy, social democracy, and economic democracy. That's socialism. And that's what I believe in. So, socialism is just democracy plus one. And particularly, you will hear this cited in Monty Python sometimes. There's a good Monty Python skit about this. The anarcho-syndicalist commune. I actually am an anarcho-syndicalist. That's the particular strain of socialism that I identify with. And that's some big boy words, but what it basically means is just, instead of the government that we have currently, you just have basically a giant federation of trade unions who are all elected democratically. And then every business is a workers' syndicate, which means you go there and it's a democratic workplace. You have a democratic workplace, and then instead of the regular government, the government is all structured around labor unions. And that's anarcho-syndicalism. Simple. Democracy, unions, democracy in the workplace, that's socialism. And that's what I believe in. Although, coming back to, the scariness of the word socialism, everybody hears socialism, communism, and immediately associates it with the USSR, which would leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth, including my own. It's probably in need of a rebrand, Just think of, if you hear what I believe in and you think, well, that doesn't sound very much like socialism, just think of it as like, Oh, okay, so democracy plus one, or whatever you are comfortable thinking of it as. Anyways, I just thought it'd be nice to give a brief introduction, like a really basic introduction to the stuff I believe, so that people don't have like a million different ideas when I say that I'm a socialist. Or like have all sorts of different conceptions as to like what socialism necessarily is. Yeah, socialism got the balance patch. We need to buff socialism by calling it something different. Thanks for watching, and support the channel if you would be so kind.